Jakarta was waking up to another humid morning as Lion Air Flight 610 prepared for departure. Passengers moved calmly through the terminal, unaware that this routine flight would soon become a nightmare. The aircraft engines slowly came alive, their powerful roar echoing across the runway. Inside the cabin, travelers settled into their seats, expecting nothing more than a normal journey. Seat belts clicked shut one after another as the crew completed final safety checks. In the cockpit, the pilots carefully reviewed the instruments before takeoff. The aircraft began taxiing across the wet runway under the rising morning sun. The wing flaps adjusted smoothly as the plane prepared for departure. Moments later, the aircraft lined up for takeoff while the engines thundered louder. Lion Air Flight 610 lifted into the sky, climbing above Jakarta with confidence. From above, the city faded away as the aircraft headed out over the ocean. Passengers relaxed, some looking through the windows at the peaceful clouds outside. The cockpit instruments showed a smooth climb as the aircraft gained altitude. The Boeing 737 MAX sliced through the clouds beneath the bright morning light. But deep within the system, something was already beginning to go wrong. One of the pilots noticed unusual readings flashing across the controls. Outside the aircraft, a faulty sensor was feeding dangerous information into the system. A slight turbulence shook the cabin, causing passengers to glance around nervously. Then a warning sound echoed through the cockpit for the very first time. The aircraft continued climbing into darker clouds as tensions slowly began to rise. Suddenly, multiple warning lights illuminated the cockpit panels in red. The captain tightened his grip on the controls, sensing serious trouble ahead. In the cabin, passengers could feel the aircraft moving strangely through the sky. Without warning, the nose of the plane dipped downward unexpectedly. The pilots exchanged urgent words while trying to understand the malfunction. The control system resisted the pilots as they fought to stabilize the aircraft. Outside, the jet struggled violently against the surrounding air currents. Fear slowly spread through the cabin as the shaking became more aggressive. Warning alarms continued ringing, filling the cockpit with chaos and pressure. The pilots pulled hard on the controls in a desperate attempt to climb again. But the aircraft suddenly pitched up and down with terrifying force. Passengers gripped their seats tightly as panic began to take over. Sweat formed across the pilots' faces while the situation spiraled out of control. Dark storm-like clouds surrounded the aircraft, creating an apocalyptic atmosphere. Conflicting instrument readings made it almost impossible to understand what was happening. Flight attendants tried to remain calm while fear spread across the cabin. The aircraft began descending sharply toward the waters below. Inside the cockpit, flashing alerts and warning sounds became overwhelming. The altitude dropped rapidly as every second became more critical. Thick clouds swallowed the aircraft while the pilots continued fighting for control. In the final moments, the crew made one last desperate attempt to save the plane. Outside, the Boeing 737 MAX plunged toward the ocean at high speed. Passengers braced themselves as terror filled the cabin. Hands trembled against armrests while prayers and screams filled the air. The cockpit panels flashed non-stop as the aircraft lost more altitude. The surface of the ocean rushed closer with terrifying speed. Time seemed to slow as the aircraft descended through the mist. The pilots focused completely on the controls during the final seconds. Then the aircraft came dangerously close to the ocean surface. In an instant, Flight 610 disappeared into the sea with catastrophic force. Beneath the water, debris scattered silently through the dark ocean depths. Above the crash site, the ocean appeared hauntingly calm once again. Pieces of wreckage floated across the waves as the tragedy became real. Rescue boats rushed toward the area in search of survivors. Recovery crews searched carefully through the water under heavy silence. The scale of the disaster slowly became clear to the world. As the sun began to set, the ocean reflected the sorrow of the tragedy. Broken fragments of the aircraft drifted alone across the endless sea. The crash site faded into the distance, leaving only silence behind. And within just 5 tragic minutes, Lion Air Flight 610 was lost forever. If you found this story powerful and informative, make sure to support our channel by hitting the like button, subscribing, and sharing this video with others. Don't forget to press the bell icon so you never miss our next episode featuring shocking disasters, untold moments, and real-life aviation mysteries. Your support helps us continue bringing you cinematic stories and unforgettable content every week.